What's up, everyone, and welcome back to In the Lane podcast. This is the podcast where your favorite New England athletes, coaches, and more get interviewed about their sport, life, and more. I'm your host, Mike Lane, and today we welcome North Andover High School boys basketball head coach Paul Tanglis. Coming up next on In the Lane podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. This is the 6th edition of In the Lane podcast, filmed at North Andover Cam Studio here on Main Street in North Andover, Massachusetts. I'm Mike Lane, the host of the show, and across the way is our guest, Coach Tanglis. Thanks for coming on the show, Coach.
Mike, thanks for having me. I'm glad we could do this.
Hey, very, very excited for this episode. I'd love to talk about you becoming the head coach for the Knights, but let's run it back all the way to the beginning. Growing up, were you a basketball player? And if you were, what made you decide to want to play?
Yeah, so I grew up at, North Andover and went through the public school system here, played basketball my whole life, ended up playing varsity basketball, and then was able to play in college at Framingham State. And then after I left Framingham, I coached at the college level at Plymouth State for a year and then got into high school coaching. So, basketball has been part of my life since I was really, really young, and I've been coaching since I got out of college, and it's always been a part of my life. So it's really cool to be back in North Andover and coaching the varsity team, from where I grew up.
That's amazing. Did any of your family members play basketball?
My brothers played. My dad played a little bit, nothing more than high school. But it was my dad loved basketball, and he's really what got me into it. He's always been a huge fan, and I think that's kind of where I went down. And he always encouraged me to become a teacher and continue to coach and things like that. And he actually comes to all the games, summer league games, fall league games, and obviously all the high school games during the winter. So he had a big impact on me, falling in love with basketball.
Amazing. Did you play any other sports besides basketball, or is basketball your one sport that you just stuck it through?
I played everything growing up, but once I got to high school, I just stuck with basketball. I think it was more just it was the one sport I truly loved. I didn't want to get injured playing another sport. I was so nervous about that. So I just stuck with basketball in high school.
And what position or positions did you play?
So I was a prototypical point guard, probably a little different than what we have now. But, I played point guard, pretty much my whole life, kind of bringing the ball up, making sure I was being more of an assist guy than a scorer back then. That's kind of what point guards were. It's a little different now. So that was really my position throughout my whole life.
And you said you played at Framingham State. What made you want to commit there and play college ball at the next level?
I remember when, my last game, my senior year in high school, I was not ready to give it up. And, I basically found Framingham as the right fit for me, level-wise and also, financially going to a state school. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I had a great experience there, and I was lucky to continue my career another 4 years. What
made you want to start coaching?
So again, never really thought about it until my career ended at Framingham State. And, I was like, I still want to be part of the game. I love the excitement of the game and the competitiveness. So coaching kind of just was the next step. And like I said, I went to Plymouth State and coached there for a year. Kind of wanted to get into college coaching. That's kind of where I wanted to maybe see how that went, and did that for a year. And it was a grind. I'm glad I did it. And then, jumped back into high school and been doing that ever since.
After Plymouth State, did you go anywhere else in college or high school, or did you come straight to North Andover?
No, so after Plymouth State, I went back to North Andover for a year under Coach Mike McVeigh and became a varsity assistant. And then I became a JV coach in Medford for 3 years. Then I got my first varsity coaching job at Stoneham High School, and I did that for 3 years. And then I got the North Andover job. After that, going into year 13 now here at North Andover, which is kind of crazy how fast it's gone.
How was your first head coaching job at Stoneham? Must have been like a whole new experience, like not sure what you're getting into. How was that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I was 27 at the time when I got the job, and you think you're ready, and then you don't really know till you're kind of thrown into the fire. Stoneham was not a very I would say wasn't really a powerhouse when it came to basketball. The teams had struggled. So my first year, I remember went 4-18 and kind of was like, man, this could be a long run here. But ended up turning around the next 2 years, and we made the tournament and, had some good success. And just like anything else, you learn from experience. I think I'm a lot different coach than I was back when I was 27. And I think you're continuing, whatever you're doing, you continue to grow as a coach. And, I think that's the best part about coaching is I'm always learning, and I think that's what I love about coaching so much.
What are some goals that you are looking to accomplish with going into next year or wanting to accomplish next year as a team?
I mean, you always want to win, right? I mean, I think that's obviously a big goal is you want to win and win as many games as possible. Next year will be a little different. We lost a lot of seniors from last year's team, so I'm really excited about just kind of seeing what young kids develop. I've told them all it's kind of all wide open as far as like making the team and playing, so it'll be an interesting year to see, who comes out of the woodwork, what guys are ready, what guys are improved in the off season. So that's really right now my biggest thing is I'm kind of excited to see what kind of team are we going to be, because it will be a lot different than we were the past couple of years when you lose, the amount of seniors we have over the last 2 years.
It makes a lot of sense. It's always tough when you lose seniors. It's like just a whole new team, and you're not really sure what you're going to expect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Were there any moments on or off the court as a coach that you had to overcome adversity and it just made you a better coach or person because of it?
I don't know if there's one specific thing that's happened. I just think over the course of, even just being at North Andover for 13 years, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the kids. You learn a lot about the game and how that's changed, because everything's always evolving. So I think there's always just little things here and there that you're like, all right, this didn't work. We're going to try this, whether it's in-game, whether it's, how you're approaching coaching, how you approach a practice. So I think there's just always things that are changing. And like I said before, it's fun to just continue to learn and grow as a coach. Even the way I, coach my players, I remember being back 27, it was win, 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 win. Like that was my focus. Obviously, I still want to win, but I think building those relationships with the high school kids has been great. And there's so many kids now that I still connect with, even from Stoneham. It's like 16 years ago now, and they're adults and they're married. A couple of them have kids, and it's just crazy that it's kind of come full circle.
That's wonderful. Are there any of your players that, even at Stonehill or at North Andover, that have made the next step at the college level?
So we've had a couple. I had a couple at Stoneham. Just this past year, we've had Zach Walensky a couple years ago. He's playing at Wesleyan now and made it to the Final Four for Division III. And then we got Nico Catalano from last year's team going to Endicott, and Cam Bethel going to Stevens Institute of Technology. So, and then I know your guy Wabisa Beatty back in the day played at Virginia Tech. I know we had that connection back in school. Now he's coaching at Maryland, so it's fun to see his career keep going. So, it's great. It's tough to play at the next level, and I want the kids to enjoy their high school career, and if it's not in the cards to play in college, I still hope they have a great career, and memories at North Andover.
Going back to Wabisa Beatty, if he's watching, I'd love to have you on the show. He'd be a great guest for the show.
We'll get him on here. He's busy now. He's at Maryland. He's been bouncing around, and I'm excited to see his next steps in his coaching career.
Yeah, he'll do great anywhere he goes.
Absolutely,
he's a wonderful person. Are there any specific players on your team that you're looking forward to making like the next step? If we got like some young freshmen or sophomores or incoming juniors, are there any in particular that have really caught your eye and excited to see what they do next year?
Yeah, I think it's the guys that we had on the team last year that their roles are going to be completely different this year. Angel Sanchez, who's one of our captains, been a 3-year guy for me, so his role is going to change, and he's doing a great job as a leader. And then we have Trey Martin and Ben Sullivan, Latuga, who are now captains as juniors, and just really watching these kids go from kind of quiet sophomores to it jumps so fast, and now they got to be the leaders this year. So just watching guys from last year, and then we get some nice prospects coming up from freshmen and JV, and again it's wide open. So I'm excited to see who's putting in the work, and we'll see where it all falls come November.
Cannot wait for next season. Basketball is one of my favorite sports to cover, and it's just so cool seeing like guys that are like in my science class hitting the game-winning shot. It's just awesome.
It is. It's cool.
Are there any assistant coaches that have been on your staff that have really helped you become a better coach or just an overall better person?
Yeah, so Bill Hart has been with me since day one. We always look at each other and like, I can't believe it's going into year 8 and year 9 and now year 13. So it's been cool to have, one person be with me the whole time. I've had my brothers coach with me for a little bit. Unfortunately, we're losing our JV coach, Scotty Wilson. He just got the head coaching job at Bedford High, which, we're obviously really happy for him, but it's obviously tough when you lose not only a great coach, but just a great person. And then I was lucky enough this past year to coach with Aiden Heim, who was a former player of mine. So that's always cool when a former player can jump on your staff and, that relationship changes. So, it's been, coaches come and go. It's a grind, it's a lot of work, not a lot of pay, a lot of time. But I've had great assistant coaches. So I've been very lucky.
That's great. You said you're losing Coach Scotty Wilson. Have any potential assistant coaches caught your eye if they're going to be a great addition for your staff?
Yeah, we're looking at some right now. It's kind of a balance. It's tough when you're not a teacher and you have a job that maybe you have to be there till 5, 6 o'clock at night. Then coaching becomes kind of a tough thing to jump into. So there's a lot of different things that need to kind of line up. But we're hoping to talking to a few people and we'll hopefully figure that out sooner than later. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
What is your favorite moment, one coaching and one playing?
Playing basketball, probably go back to my junior year. We beat Andover in the Christmas tournament. It was at the old North Andover High, which most people don't remember that, but we had a nice big field house there, and the place was packed, and we ended up losing to Central in the finals. But I just remember how many people were at that game. They said it was like 2,500, and I had never played in front of that many people before. I remember being so nervous, and the place was so loud. But that was a great memory. Coaching-wise, we've had a lot. Obviously getting to the Final Four a couple years ago, and back when it was sectionals, winning Division II North. Those kind of things, they stick out. But there's a lot of individual games and things like that have been great. Again, I've been lucky to have some pretty good success here and coach a lot of great players. So I think at the end of the day, looking back, it's seeing your players get older, grow up, become adults, like I said, get married, have a family. Like it makes me feel old, but it really is cool to, I always say to them, I hope at the end of the day, no matter what happens on the court, that they become, good young men, successful young men, and hopefully some of the things that I've taught them, can help them, when they get older. So
just seeing them go through life is like the biggest win rather than like get into the Final Four. You'd rather see them just become better people overall. That's 100%. Like that's your goal.
Yep, 100%. That means a lot.
That's incredible. Do you prefer NBA or college basketball?
College. I think there's nothing better than March Madness in the NCAA tournament. I think the NBA can be tough. I always tell my players, like, be careful. Watching the NBA is a different kind of game, but I think college basketball, especially the NCAA tournament, is just one of the greatest sporting events they can put together, and I love March.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite NBA team and a favorite college basketball team?
Boston Celtics. Obviously, not too pleased with the way things kind of ended this year, but we'll see. Hopefully Tatum can get healthy, and we'll see what kind of moves we make. And in college, I like the local college teams. They don't really have a ton of success. Obviously, when Beatty was at Virginia Tech, that was my team, and now I'm going to enjoy watching Maryland. So I never had like a true college team, but I'll be a big Maryland fan this year, obviously.
Last question. If you could meet any basketball player, past or present, anyone, who would it be?
It'd be a toss-up between Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. I loved Jordan growing up. I used to wear like a wristband on my my forearm because he did it. But I also love watching Larry Bird play. I was a little younger when he was playing, but to me, Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever. So if I could sit down with him, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome. Coach Tanglis, it was wonderful having you today on the show, and best of luck next year.
Mike, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Of course. Just a reminder, you can listen to In the Lane podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Also, make sure to check it out at northandovercam.org and type In the Lane podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to drop a follow and a 5-star rating. You can also check out In the Lane podcast on Instagram, and make sure to drop a follow and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. If you're an athlete or coach and would like to be on the show, make sure to email inthelane@gmail.com and tell me why you should be on In the Lane podcast. One final thing. I'm thrilled to announce that In the Lane podcast won Podcast of the Year here at North Andover Cam. I feel greatly honored to win this award, and I cannot wait to make more episodes for the foreseeable future. For our guest, Coach Tanglis, across the way, I'm your host, Mike Lane, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.